Welcome back to the Pin Pals podcast, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the pin game and interviews some of the most creative and talented pin makers and shops out there. I'm your host, Eric of Warrior Pins, and it feels great to be back in the swing of things. Now, I know the gap between seasons 2 and 3 was a bit longer than expected, but life happens. And if there's one thing I'm learning the hard way, it's to take care of yourself first. Shout out to all the listeners, viewers, Buy Me a Coffee supporters, and Discord members for sticking around and continuing to show the podcast much love. It still blows my mind that we've built an actual community here. I mean, just a couple weeks ago when I was at Patches and Pins Expo in New York City, someone came up to the table, my table, and started talking about the podcast in like a casual conversation. It was surreal. I was freaking out on the inside. My mind was just exploding. So I want to thank all of you guys and gals and everyone in between for the support. It means a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, just a couple more things before we jump right into the first episode of Season 3 with Steez McGee. Number 1, if you want to support the podcast for as little as $1 a month, you can do so by visiting buymeacoffee.com/pinpalspodcast. There are tons of perks like discounts at warriorpins.com, behind-the-scenes content, free bonus episodes, free entry to our monthly virtual happy hours, access to our Discord server, and so much more. It's a ton of fun, but best of all, it supports the podcast directly. And if you don't feel like doing the monthly thing, that's fine. You can just buy me a couple cups of coffee, and we'll call it a day. How's that sound? That's buymeacoffee.com/pinpalspodcast. Link will be in the show notes. Number 2, ratings and reviews are still very important to the algorithms, so if you haven't done so on whatever platform you're listening or watching this on, help me out. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, give us a 5-star rating, leave a rad review. Those go a long way. You're watching on YouTube, go ahead and like the video, leave a couple comments, share the link with your friends. These are all free ways to show your support for the podcast. Lastly, we have a new sponsor. I'm thrilled to announce that Pin Pals is partnering up with Your Stuff Made, an artist-owned pin manufacturer that follows ethical manufacturing practices and guidelines. Yes, that is a mouthful, but let me tell you, Your Stuff Made is a great place to get your pins made. So I reached out to them a few months ago to get some logo pins made, and boy, did that decision change my life. I mean, not only did they produce some clean-looking pins for me, but the ordering process was a breeze. Communication was quick, and the prices were competitive. Best of all, they're now a supporter of the podcast. I mean, what more could you ask for? If you're on the fence about getting pins made because it's too expensive, you don't know where to begin, or communication with your manufacturer is just a headache, go ahead and contact my friends over at Your Stuff Made. I am telling you, it's an easy process and you won't be disappointed. So you want to go to yourstuffmade.com, and when you're filling out the quote, let them know that the Pin Pals podcast sent you. Why? Because you're going to get 10% off your order. That's why. And they do more than just pins. They offer custom patches, stickers, keychains, apparels, retail displays, show displays, whatever you want, they can most likely make it for you, which is awesome. So if you're new to the pin game, or maybe you're a veteran pin maker looking to switch things up, don't wait any longer. Visit yourstuffmade.com, let them know the Pin Pals podcast sent you, and get 10% off your next order. Now, let's jump right into my pinversation with my pin pal, Steez McGee. Welcome to Pin Pals, John. How's it going?
Oh man, can't complain. Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Staying warm out here in Jersey. What's the situation like in Denver right now?
It's actually pretty nice out today. But that's Colorado for you. One day it's 90 degrees, the next day it's snowing, and there's a blizzard outside. So you kind of just got to roll with the punches here.
I like that. I've been dying to get myself out there. It just seems like a pretty cool area, pretty hip area.
You should, man. It's a great little trip.
They got any pin shows happening over there?
Not really, actually. I was talking to Miguel, because he's one, I always talk to about trade shows and everything over at BB Create. And There's not too much out here. They have, like the Fan Expo, which is like Comic-Con out in Denver once or twice a year. And then that's really it. There might be a few little like brewery shows, but there's not anything like, Patches and Pins Expo, anything like that out here. That's like a huge pin dedicated show.
Open market.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If I had the energy to throw an event.
Dude, that would be pretty cool. I would like to do something like that. For whatever reason, the other day I had this like vision and of just like creating caricatures of pin makers and pin shops, but like in wrestling outfits, and it's just like fighting each other or like being featured like at the same event or something like that. It's just a poster of everyone just like looking tough and just like idolizing pin makers that way. I thought it'd be so funny.
That would be hilarious. Man, I don't even know who I would be.
I think I would want to be like have like a Jeff Hardy pose.
Yeah. That'd everyone wants to be, the Macho Man Randy Savage,
All right, so let's kick things off. Why don't you tell the listeners who you are and your pin shop?
I'm John, and Steez McGee is the pin shop. Kind of my alter ego, if you would say, for the design industry. And make pins, plushes, a bunch of other little knick-knack things.
When did you get started?
Man, I want to say it was about 6 years ago-ish, estimated. We're not good at keeping track of time. We always have to scroll to the bottom of our Instagram to remember exactly when we started.
Yeah, I do that pretty often. It's pretty crazy to see how far you've come too.
It's weird. Yeah. The old posts, you're like, man, as much as, I don't feel like I've improved too much on the whole photography side of things. It's crazy how much I've improved since then.
Yeah. 6 years ago, man, can you paint the picture? What was it like 6 years ago?
It was different because I think when I first started, Instagram was chronological. The timeline wasn't algorithm based. So I feel like we started at a good time to kind of get, nice little traction with just our first 3 pins we started off with. I'm in the industry of design for my full-time job as well. So it was kind of just, a little side thing. I just kind of wanted to have a little fun, make some things that I wanted to see out in the market. And, kind of never really expected it to get where it has today. It's been a really fun ride. And, it was kind of a fun little project that turned into a little something more. And, we can't complain about it. We're having a lot of fun still to this day doing it.
Yeah, I was looking at, just going through the feed and going through the website, and I just kind of put myself in your shoes. And I'm just like, because, you can relate as a pin maker. Like, man, This guy like started like way back when. It's so cool to see his like journey and his growth. Now he's got freaking plush toys. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's been fun. That's kind of our thing though, is we started, like I said, just to create things we wanted to create. We didn't have really any mindset of where we wanted to take Steez. Just kind of, have developed, we released a few pins that have done well for us. And that kind of allowed us to experiment and make some other fun stuff. The plush thing was something we saw on the market a lot. And we were just like, we wanted to see if we could do one. So we decided to produce one. And, it was a fun process. I think it took all in all about 6 to 8 months to get those things in our hands, but that's part of the fun, I guess,
All that back and forth. I can imagine all the back and forth and like prototypes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we went through 4 different prototypes before we actually got the one that we liked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How like minute were the changes? Were they like using different fabric or like cotton infill or something like that?
Yeah, man, I wish I had pulled out all 4 of the old samples because I have them all. And, it was essentially, this was kind of the final outcome of the first plush that I have here. The first one, we based it off of our pin, which is kind of more in a running pose.
For anyone listening real quick, is a Kirby bomb.
Bomb, yeah. So it's a bomb mixed with Kirby.
Love it.
Fun little project we did. And we just kind of figured this would be a good base to start the plushie thing. It's a pretty simple shape, not too much going on with it. So he was originally in a running pose. And so that one, when you try to sit them on a desk, you would sit, sideways. It didn't really work for the whole sitting on a shelf. And we didn't think about that because, new process, you learn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And the key on the back was actually made out of plush too. So it was really puffy and kind of looked kind of goofy in a way. So we did some research, found a few online that had this sort of material. So it kind of turned into what it is today. But, simple little things. It wasn't anything too crazy.
That's wild. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
To go through all those like changes. Yeah, for sure. So you said you started off with 3 pins.
Yep.
Do you remember what those 3 pins were and like what the process was like?
Yeah. So we did, our first one was our Bobart, which is a boba tea inspired Bart Simpson. Let's see here. I got it over here. So this was our first pin. It was a little boba tea Bart, and just got all his pieces as like the little boba shapes. We did a Ask Pro Shops, which was our little spin on the Bass Pro Shops thing. And we worked there for 5 years before we got into our actual field as our first job. So it was kind of just a fun little poke at the old life before getting into design. And then the other one was Good Vibes, and that was just a fun little mini pin that just had good vibes on it. So
I like that.
And as far as process goes, like I said, my full-time gig is the art director for a clothing company in Colorado. So my day-to-day is, sourcing garments, sourcing materials overseas in China. So I essentially just did that same process, found a supplier I liked, and, it wasn't too out of my realm of what I do day to day kind of thing. So, I've just grown up collecting pins. So it was kind of just a fun little, I wanted to dive into them. They were small. They didn't take up a lot of room in the apartment, and they kind of allowed you to still get your ideas across.
Yeah, for sure. What did you collect as a kid?
Oh man, I kind of the normal kid things growing up in the 90s. A lot of Pokemon cards, action figures. A lot of people might know like Street Sharks and Transformers.
Oh, yes.
I had tons of those. Hot Wheels. It was I could run the gamut of things, and then kind of video games and cartoons, we're all involved in that. And that's kind of why the pins sort of go that way.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's pretty cool. So what would you say is like pretty important when trying to, because you already had the experience of talking with manufacturers, you kind of knew like the lingo and the expectations and what you had to do to make sure you'd get like the product that you're looking for.
Yeah.
What would you say are some like valuable ways to go about doing that? Some like tips to like talking to manufacturers?
I think it's just kind of being upfront. A lot of times, I've noticed that manufacturers will kind of push to sort of get you to place that order, get the process moving, try to get you the money and get you products as soon as possible. I would say I always quote, every pin. I have, 3 to 5 manufacturers at any time that I'm working with on, this one does hard enamel good, this one does soft enamel good, and just get quotes from all of them. That way, if you see one is super low and one is super high, but you really want to work with the one that's really high, you like that manufacturer for a certain reason, try to get them down, get that price, let them know you got a better price from another manufacturer. And a lot of times they'll work with you and get that price down. It may not be the lowest price, but in my opinion, I always kind of take the middle price with a manufacturer I feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, the cheapest isn't always the best.
Mm-hmm.
It might work in some cases depending on what you're trying to do, but that's kind of my my approach. Is I always kind of gauge it and then try to get a little bit better.
I like that. Very strategic, smart,
yeah,
shark-like. Been watching a lot of Shark Tank.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. In terms of like your designs and just your background and everything, outside of just like the nostalgic content, like what inspires you to like design and create?
Honestly, it's just the process. I enjoy getting out there, experimenting with new things. For example, the plushes, that was just something that I wanted to learn the process behind. I wanted to experiment with it. And, if I can find the right avenue and maybe something from pop culture inspires me to make that, jump into a plush, that's kind of all it is I just kind of entered this to just create things that I want to create. And, that's something I do on a daily basis. Like I just got into over COVID making rugs, and it's just because I wanted to learn about the process of doing that, so I think really just the creating and learning different processes is kind of what keeps me going.
Dude, that's cool, man. I gotta drink some of your water. I've been over here like making like little, like they're cool, like they're different, but like bracelets and really learning the whole mold making with silicone and resin and stuff like that. But like I can relate and I can feel that just
Yeah,
like that need to create, and it's like well, if like the turtles can help inspire, you get like a cool idea based on that. Like it gives you like a really cool starting point, but also like a vision to just like go out there and create it.
absolutely. And man, you've been making me want to jump more and more into the whole 3D thing as well. And, the mold making process, because it looks so fun. It's just, how much money can I spend on things that I just, want to have fun with, essentially.
Oh my God, yes, for real. I'm still at the point in my life where I don't have any like major commitments yet. So I'm like, okay, there's like $350 for a 3D printer and some matte white filament. But I will say, aside from all like the fun, like articulating stuff, like I printed out a headphone hanger for my shelf. Let me see.
Functional.
A functional print. And it printed out a
That's
screw
awesome.
separately, and like it works. It's like threaded and everything.
Looks great.
And in there, and the headphones rest on it. So like before I started recording this episode, I went to go grab my headphones, and it was just that was nice.
Yeah,
just resting
it makes it worth it. That $350 for that thing is just going to pay for itself. Back and forth, whether you're selling it or you're just making things for your house. It's great.
It's awesome. I think just the learning curve that comes along with it will like bite you in the ass sometimes, but it's also pretty cool to just like learn new programs and working with new materials and new machineries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Keeps the brain going and functioning.
Absolutely.
Right as we get older. So I want to talk about packaging pins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you go about, kind of deciding backing cards, how to package your pins? What kind of like experience do you like providing for your customers?
It kind of all depends on the pin for me. Our standard run of the mill, the curb on pins just go on our like simple yellow backing card. And then, we'll make some, like we just did a collab with the brand Pin Day and made some blinky lures. So we kind of went more all out for those just because it's a collab, we want to have a little fun with it. And we got some fishing lure packaging, got the backing cards. So they actually go in. So when you receive it in the mail, it looks like you just bought a fishing lure off the shelf. So, it kind of all depends on the actual item, but, that's something we like to have fun with from time to time.
That's pretty cool. And that was my attempt at a segue into opening up this lovely package John sent to us.
The big box of Steez.
The big Steez box. Now, typically when people send over pins, they're in like little poly mailers or craft mailers or something like that. It's not very often a box comes through. So when I saw that it was a box, I was like, what the heck? So we're just going to go ahead and open this up. I'm going to try and a live unboxing experience here on the podcast. This is the premium content that people love.
Hopefully they're watching on YouTube.
Yeah. To like the 60 subscribers on YouTube. But hey, 60 people in the room. It's a lot of people.
That's where I watch them at.
Awesome. That's cool. All right. So I'm going to try and hold this up.
I like the visual.
Me too. So work with me. I'm going to hold stuff up and then you're going to kind of go ahead and describe it for our audience.
Cool.
6 sticker.
Just a little, I call it the shitty tiger sticker.
Ooh, I like the pink. Oh, dude. Curb bomb. Get out of here.
Had to get you the last plush, my last plush.
Okay. How freaking cool is that? The final product. Oh, the antenna moves too. There's like wire.
Yep.
That's so
It's
cool.
got a little bean bag in his butt, so it should sit nice on your shelf, not roll over.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Wow, you even had to think about that, like figuring out its like center of gravity or something like that.
Yep.
That's crazy. Holy shit. Well, I can tell you that this is well made. Dude.
I appreciate it. It was a like I said, a fun process, a lot of learning to it, but when you actually get to hold it in your hand, it's, the best feeling, as I'm sure any other maker or someone who's created something, once you get to actually hold the physical item, not just see it on a screen, it really just kind of like brings the thing to life and brings a smile to your face.
Yeah. Oh my. That's so cool. I freaking love Kirby, man. That's awesome. All right. We got a lot of other cool stuff too. We got a Ditto patch.
Yep. A little chenille patch. And that one, we made a Ditto rug as our first rug we created. So we just turned it into like a little mini rug, essentially, is what we call that. Use it as a coaster, use it as a patch, whatever you want.
Oh, that is cool. I don't know if I ever want to use it because I don't want to get it dirty. But that's really cool. This is still packed with goodies.
I think you got the fishing lure packaging in there too that we talked about.
Yeah, let's go for that one. In the plastic box.
Yep. We sourced a little plastic box and worked around that kind of thing.
Wow, the hooks hang and everything.
Yeah, we like to. Our thing is we like to try to make pins that are interactive. It kind of makes them a little different, and also just poses kind of a challenge to us to try to make it function. Like the actual item would.
Yeah.
So that one wasn't too complex. Just a little chain and a hook. It kind of gave it that whole fishing lure vibe.
And I see the stripes here are screen printed. Nice touch.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh man, that is cool. In the box and everything, just having it shipped like that. Way cool presentation.
It's not the funnest thing to package, but it is great when customers appreciate it arriving like that.
Dude, oh my gosh. All right. We got a couple of these guys, which is awesome. Monkey in a barrel. Donkey Kong.
I sent in a few extras for you.
These are going to be cool.
Yeah, that one, we had to try out that metallic plating thing, so we felt it was a good option for it. That was just, you see a lot of pin makers using those and everything, so we were just like, we wanted to make a pin with that, try it out. And
it looks so clean too.
Thank you. All credit to the manufacturer on that one.
Oh yeah, the polish job is remarkable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be cool. Oh man, dude, yeah. Like you said, I think forgot to mention this, but we're definitely gonna be figuring out a giveaway situation with all this stuff. This is like so many goodies. We got to spread the wealth.
Absolutely,
dude. This thing is insane.
Yeah. So that pin, we based it off of the healing chamber in Dragon Ball Z, and that one actually took about 5 months to get the mold right.
It's so thick.
Yeah, it's I think 4 millimeters thick or whatever, and to get enough of that character to be able to 3D the character and then get that sheen across the top to give it that look like he's an actual liquid was not the easiest process for the manufacturer, but it came out amazing in my opinion.
Yeah, wow, this is really cool. This is something that like my camera doesn't like auto focus. It's a manual focus thing. Otherwise I'd hold it up like a lot closer. But dude, the details in this thing are really cool. Like the clear epoxy came out great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's clean. But oh sweet, number 20 of 100. That's pretty cool. But just so like you can see how thick that is, man. You never see a pin that thick. I like that.
Yeah, it's hefty.
Hefty boy. Okay. Dude, so many pins. I love it. Oh, this one's cool. Right?
So that one Yeah, he doesn't move or anything. It's just dual layered, just to give that effect, like he's running up the stairs. You know, everyone played that Mario 64 game back in the day, and the endless stairs at Bowser's Castle, where you're running up. So we took that inspiration, took the old graphic, that everyone knows, the infinite stairs, and kind of just combined the two to make it nostalgic in a way. And it was our first ever dual layered pin. So
dual layered pin.
Yep.
We out here being
attached.
Innovative. Yeah, that is so cool, dude. Wow. I like that pin. Never seen anything like that before. I'm just going to give a quick close-up of these guys, too, because
nice.
They just look so good.
Yeah, there's been times where, I feel like we've done things not first, but we've taken a lot of things that we've seen other pin makers doing and, maybe changed them to use them as something that, is new, something that, we've never really seen on the market, whether it is on there, we just couldn't find it, or, it is something new. We like to just experiment with these things, and we got to give credit because there are a lot of like great pin makers out there that are just figuring out new methods and ways to kind of improve the pins. You would think there's only so many ways that you can update and find new innovations for something this size, and little metal piece of hardware, and people are just finding ways to innovate all the time, and it's awesome to see.
I love seeing it. This is really funny.
Yeah, just little lazy characters thrown into that mashup. Just that's kind of what we got known for early on, is mashups. Shout out to Thumbs One and T Crux. They're always ones that we're following and good friends with, the other mashup kings. And so we've kind of continued to do that throughout our pin journey, is just make some fun little mashups, whether they make sense or not. We enjoy making them.
Like this one.
Yep. That was the first one I think that ever got me and you in contact, was just talking about the Krang pins.
Yeah, and I think you have Krang, like Krang's body, or like there's a triangle Krang, I think.
Yeah, we did. We like to do these also too, just stupid plays on words, and it's Tri-Krangle.
Yes, it's on my board actually. Bam, proof.
Yep. And I think that's just one of those ones that it makes no sense, doesn't have really any meaning behind it, but it looks great. It looks funny.
Number 3, but also just that little bit of pink up there.
Yep, just filling in the lemon. And it's funny because actually that was not planned. That was something that our manufacturer just sent with a little bit of pink enamel in the back, and I was like, cool, I'll take it. They didn't add anything to the cost, or they just kind of surprised us with that one.
Okay, we have a bunch more stuff. This is also really cool. Magikarp, like cracker.
Yep, just our snack series. So it's just
it's
supposed to look like a goldfish. Yep.
I like that. Okay, this is like a must, I guess, with the plush curb bomb pin.
Pin that inspired it all.
Nice hard enamel with some cool screen printed finishes. I dig that. Oh, is that a rose gold finish?
Yep.
I like that. Some good luck charms.
Some Kerr berries for you.
The logo, a little magnet. Really cool. Who is this? This is Red?
No, that's the Keaton mask from Zelda, Majora's Mask back in the day.
The background did make me think Zelda, but for whatever reason I thought of the bootlegger in Animal Crossing Red.
It does look like Red. You're right. Now that you say that, I wonder if they were inspired by Red,
subconsciously.
or if they were inspired by that mask to make Red.
That's cool. I like that. Just like that 3D finish you got going on for it.
Yeah, we've seen, everybody's done that mask in pin form, but I don't think anybody's done it 3D molded yet. So it was kind of just more something that we wanted to see in the world. So here we are.
I dig that. Okay. I got the one that I really want to talk about. I'll save that one for last. We got these two.
Cool. Yep, little Star Wars nostalgia. And again, so these are just plays on words, what we like to do. So that's a porg apple, pineapple, porg. And then the other one is the one that people don't understand when they see it, but it's a soup, Ahsoka. So just, just playing on words and having fun making things that make it work.
I love it. I love it. Okay, and this one I'm really stoked about. I'm gonna take it off the backing card. And this is your latest release, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep. Bob's Burgers in the house. So this is our Tina twerking pin. And this one,
Oh,
man, I want to give accurate information, but it took so long that I don't know if I'll even be able to give accurate information. I think we ended up doing 6 different molds. So we paid for 6 different mold costs.
holy
I think
cow!
3 different samples of it. And obviously, there's 3 different pieces to it. So we had to change up the top mold, the bottom mold. The only mold I don't think that ever changed was the arm. So everything else had to change to make it function, because the first one we got, the movement was too short. So she only went, about that far. So it didn't really give the twerking action that Tina provides. And so we had to update that, make the hole a little bit bigger in the leg. And then when we did that, we forgot to test out the original pin. And we realized that we had a post on the head and one on the body. So when you actually put it on your hat, it didn't look like she was twerking. You couldn't make it twerk when it was actually attached to something.
Oh my gosh!
So then we had to go back to the drawing board and figure out if we could actually, add 2 posts on the bottom and make it function when it was actually being worn. So all we did for that one was we added a little bit of extra metal that you'll never see for that post to attach to. So that way, when it's actually attached to something, she can do the twerking action with the top of her body.
Ingenuity.
So it's, it's just something you don't think about when you're designing this, and you actually have to pay for the mold and get the sample in person to see if it works. And we're just glad we didn't, jump right into production and pay, all the money and actually get an incorrect sample.
That's crazy. So, forgive me if you mentioned this. I'm just like kind of lost in, because I'm thinking like how I would go about doing something like this.
Yeah.
And it would just be like me in probably not even Procreate, because I wouldn't know where to begin. Just like pencil and paper, trying to sketch out, trying to figure out the movement and stuff like that. Did you have like a caliper? Like you're measuring like things and trying to figure out like the exact distance and shapes and stuff like that, like the angle of the twerk.
No, unfortunately, it was a lot more ridiculous than that. So we just we designed like probably 10 different pieces on the computer, just taking different parts of her body and just having it so that we could, sort of figure out how the motion would work, if it would work. Because at first, it was an idea, but it might have never came true. We printed them all off. And basically I took a staple, flattened out a staple, and just punched it through different parts of it. And just kind of like moved it on my desk just to see if it would, kind of get that general movement. And we ended up settling on these 3 pieces. And luckily I talked to the manufacturer, and somehow they didn't have any recommendations on things for the original one. So they just produced a sample, and it kind of worked. And that's kind of, I guess, the beautiful thing about having like a manufacturer that you work with all the time is, you can send them something like this, and a lot of times their artists will take what you sent them and say, hey, we think this might work better, or, just give you other ideas in the actual manufacturing process. So luckily this one worked. It kind of helped that they were able to just make the hole in the leg bigger without me sending new artwork. I just kind of communicated to them that we wanted to make it bigger, and, they were able to do it without me spending too much time on the back end. But I think that's kind of a value thing that we learned early on, is like become friends with your manufacturer in a way. Pay a little bit more, just build that good reputation, push a bunch of pins through them right at the beginning, and they will help you out in the long run.
That's incredible, man. Uh, Good on you for being able to produce this and have like a team, if you will, to like help you bring this to life because it just feels so like precise and delicate when you're dealing with something so small. You know, that
Right.
just that cutout right by her leg too just looks like it could I don't know. I'm just amazed. Ooh, there I drop it. I'm just amazed by it too. It's just cool. This is like I see I was talking with someone else the other day and it was like what's the current state of the pin game? And sometimes depending on what day what day it is or like how you're feeling, like it could just feel very cluttered. On other
Yeah.
days, it can feel like you're part of a community that's just so like just inspiring and inspiring yourself to like create like you see like all your friends like creating cool stuff and you're like man I got to kick it up like I want to be able to create cool stuff. It's not like a competition but you just get like this drive to create and this is the stuff that like I talk about when I see like that's just like so inspiring and it's like oh man dude what else can we do like this is so
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I appreciate it because yeah, that's definitely how it feels some days on Instagram. I mean, there's so many pin makers out there right now, and the thing is that a lot of them are creating great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's none out there that aren't creating something that's awesome. It's kind of great to see, and that's kind of what I like about the pin community. In a whole, obviously there's some bigger dogs out there. Kind of don't want to maybe see the success of others, but for the most part, the 95% of the pin makers are very looking out for each other. They love sharing each other's work, promoting for other people, and it's kind of a everybody wins sort of community.
Yeah. And boy, I'm seeing it in a different way. Like being on the East Coast, you don't get to really connect with a lot of the pin makers because the events don't really happen out here.
Yeah,
So I'm sure it might be different for folks out in the West Coast, but like it's one thing to see the pin community through your phone and through like these pictures of how everyone wants their brand to come off and appear and stuff like that. But it's another thing to like get a sense of the pin community when you're talking with people, like even if it's through a Zoom call like
yeah,
there's just so many awesome people that you like sometimes you just don't know and it makes that like connection and their pins that much cooler knowing that it came from like people who like really worked for it or people who were like really creating for the right reasons and stuff like that and
absolutely.
it's so cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure most of the people listening know that most of these pin companies are run by husband and wife or just one person. It's not a large team of people. So a lot of times when people like hit me up on Instagram and I reply, they seem kind of shocked. But it's like I'm the one on Instagram. I'm doing everything for the most part. And I love talking to people who reach out on Instagram. It's kind of cool for me to talk to people, and I think that's kind of a cool part. I'll just bring up Miguel again from BB Create. We got started being friends when we randomly just reached out to each other on Instagram. He had his first pin out, and I think we were maybe like 4 pins deep at the time. So really early on, and we just did a pin trade, and we've become, best of friends through just Instagram. I don't think we actually met each other till like 3 years ago in person.
Wow.
Just one of these events, I showed up. He invited me out to California. It was my first California event that he was throwing. And, that kind of changed my whole perspective on everything, flying out to a show and, actually meeting all these people that I talk to on Instagram all the time.
That's wild. I remember going to my first Patches and Pins Expo and be like, I follow you. Holy shit, I follow you.
Yeah.
Wait, I know you. Wait, you're such and such?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there were people there who thought the same for you too. It's just, oh, you actually came out to the show. It's really cool,
Yeah. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to say thanks for sending this incredible package out. This is awesome. We're definitely going to like figure out some sort of giveaway by the time that this airs. So I don't know, probably listen to the intro or outro of this
Can't wait.
episode. Yeah, for whatever the rules and stuff like that are. Maybe it'll be like an end of season thing. I don't know, but stay tuned for that. So you mentioned Instagram and like in the early days, just being able to connect with people and stuff like that. Kind of want to talk about marketing for a little bit. Um,
Yeah,
what are your what are your marketing efforts like? How do you get your pins out there to like the right audience?
man, I gotta say we're still learning about the whole marketing side of thing. That's one of the areas where we need to grow so much. And I say we because it's a lot of time just me and my wife who are doing it. And my photography, not the greatest. Luckily, she's got a better eye for photography. I can design all day, but as soon as you get me behind a camera, I can't do anything. So luckily, I have her take some nicer photos of the products before we release them. And then, we'll just post on Instagram, try a week leading up to the drop to get in front of as many people as possible. We've tried a few videos on TikTok, no avail yet, but we haven't dove fully into that yet. We've tried the Twitter thing. We've tried Reddit and doing some subreddit posts here and there, and that has shown a little bit of success. And then, we have our mailing list as well, where we try to send out, an email before every drop, and
Okay.
offer a few promo codes in there, stuff like that, just to incentivize people to sign up. But we're not experts at marketing by any means. We're still just trying to have fun and hoping that people see it through Instagram's algorithm and eventually, find us through that. We've been doing a lot more with Etsy as of recently. We didn't have an Etsy store, I don't think, up till maybe a year and a half ago, just because we had our online store. So we decided to give it a shot, put some pins on there that maybe weren't selling on our actual website. And their ads on Etsy work pretty well. We do, $2 or $3 a day, I think, on Etsy ads, depending on the month. And we see a pretty good amount of sales, even through that little bit of money being put into Etsy.
Yeah, it's weird. Like if you have the money, even like $5 to $10, like for your
Yeah,
budget or something like that, I've seen that it works, and I'm just like, it might be like
yeah,
one sale a day, but I'm like, that's one sale that I
it
didn't have, and it compounds over time, like for just a couple bucks,
absolutely.
and you don't have to do anything. It's just literally just like clicking it on and then selecting what listings you want to be like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was super nice. We've tried Facebook and Instagram ads, and they've done okay sometimes, but other times I feel like we're paying for to not be seen. Essentially, we get thousands and thousands of views, but we get like one click.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's no way that if 10,000 people saw this, that only one person clicked it. It's just not. I don't feel like math works that way. But maybe there was only one person, so we've kind of steered away from the Etsy or the Instagram ads for the time being, just till we figure them out. And I think that's really it. We were just doing it. Throwing rocks at a wall and hoping they stick, and no rocks were sticking. So we've been doing more research, but like I said, it's a learning process for sure, and it changes all the time.
It changes. It's just when you think you have a grasp on it, it
Exactly.
changes, and that's why I laughed in the beginning, because it's like you're still trying to figure it out. Like I'm still trying to like write the manual and
Yeah.
just like be consistent and just like be timely about everything. And but dude, it's just exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, I came into it, as the design guy, not the marketing guy. And then, you quickly realize that you become everything,
Yeah.
the shipping and fulfillment, the marketing, and you really do kind of have to sit down and just grind till something works.
So let's see. Oh, what platform are you running your shop on?
Right now, Big Cartel, but we're actually looking to switch to Shopify, and have been working on kind of a new redesigned website through Shopify.
Oh, okay, cool. What's luring you? Haha, get it? Luring you to Shopify.
Just the amount of customization. The company that I work for full time is on Shopify, so I've gotten to dive sort of into the back end of that website, and it just kind of appeals to me more. Big Cartel was just the cheapest and sort of the most effective in the beginning, and we just stuck with it because it's what we had. But
Hmm.
we just thought it was kind of time to switch it up and just see how Shopify goes for us. So, it's just a kind of a random decision in a way, but we've only heard good things about Shopify. So
Yeah, Shopify's cool. The amount of customization that you'll be able to do is cool.
yeah, the apps on there is just, it seems like infinite. So
The
we've been
apps,
watching a lot of YouTube.
the analytics too, the reporting
Yes.
and stuff like that it can like provide and spit out. Oh,
Yeah.
great A.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Big Cartel, we've been on it, for the 6 years or so that we've been in business. And I feel like they haven't really upgraded much other than, added an app here and there. And that kind of is what steered us away, because it's working fine, but fine doesn't really cut it all the time.
Yeah. How do you plan out your releases? Do you like sit down like every quarter and just be like, okay, I want to get these 5 designs out?
No, no, we kind of we have our list on our phone of things that we want to design, what things we come up with while driving, things that we just while we're sleeping think of, and then I'll just throw it on the list. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, jot it down on the list just so I don't forget it. And if I design it and I think it looks cool, then usually I'll just release it if I have the budget. So there's really no plans other than if we're going to a big event like Designer Con or something like that, then we'll sort of try to plan out what we want to drop at Designer Con, whether it's based on what the show's theme is or things like that. But other than that, we're kind of just throwing out random designs whenever we feel like it. And I wish I had a serious answer, but
No. I mean, that's very much how it is sometimes. That's like, I've been running like with that mentality, not mentality, that like, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like, that's how I've been running things for quite a while. I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve and be like ahead, like 1 or 2 releases or something like that. But it's just so hard. And I'm sure it's hard with you now that you have like, you're making rugs, you're making plushies, and you're venturing out to some like other stuff too. So I feel like there's always something cooking.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I said, this brand, it's never been a brand that, we had plans of becoming a big corporation from. It's just a brand for fun, and that's what it still is today. We release what we want. We just we want to still have enjoyment with it. I think I have about 2 other business ideas that I want to start, in the next year or 2. And they're kind of falling into the same little small trinket sort of deal. And those will be more serious, we'll plan out the releases, kind of dive into a little bit more. But Steez McGee kind of will always just be sort of like releasing what we want, collaborating with our friends in the pin community, and just kind of trying to make something that doesn't have as much stress involved. There's always going to be stress involved with any business running, but this one we just kind of want to make what we want, and hopefully people like it.
Do you got a fan out here in Jersey since?
I appreciate it.
I mean, I don't know how long it was that I picked up those pins from you. Probably like 4, 5, 6 years ago, somewhere around that time.
Easily.
But yeah, it's just cool to see that growth, and just as a pin maker, you just can't help but wonder, like, oh man, wonder what it must be like to have like all these projects going on, just like it's just cool. Just going back to what we said earlier, just creating for the sake of just like creating, just because it's awesome.
Yeah. Just the process. It's all fun. Seeing something from start to finish, you can't really beat that feeling.
It's such a good feeling. So speaking of good feelings, give me the opposite of good feeling. Give me share with me a mistake that maybe you've made in the past 6 years, something that like was a hard lesson learned. Terrible segue into that question, but
no, there's a bunch of them. As a business, it's all about learning. So we've had manufacturers that have basically taken money from us because they'll send us a product that's not what we agreed on, and then they will just ghost you. There's nothing you can really do about it other than send them a few emails, try for it, and I have a bin sitting under my shelf of hundreds of pins that had defects to them, that we didn't feel good selling, or they just came out completely incorrect, and we'll sometimes just give them to friends and family. Mm-hmm. So that'll happen. It's just the way of the game, and you can try to prevent it as much as you want, but sometimes you'll have things like that happen. Reorders, we've made a mistake on a reorder once or twice, thinking that there was a whole lot of people wanting it, and then they kind of just sat for us. But in the end of the day, that's not the end of the world for us. They'll go eventually. It's kind of just one of those things where you're like hoping for that immediate like boost in sales real quick. Once those products arrive, you're bringing them back to people wanted them, and then you get 2 orders. So, those are kind of the hard days, the bad days, but all in all, it's 95% of the time, I got a smile on my face doing it. And, that's all that really matters at this point.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. And it sounds like you're just trying to do things so that it's less stressful for you. You're trying to just like organize things in like a more strategic way, maybe not trying to tackle on too many projects and stuff like that at once. So that's cool. It's admirable.
Exactly.
Thank you for opening up about these mistakes. I know it can be hard, but maybe someone can learn from them.
Yeah, it's almost a guarantee. If someone runs a business without a mistake or something bad happening, I commend them, and I need to get up on a mentor call with them to see how they're doing it. But it's just how things go. It's the way of the world. Mistakes happen.
On the flip side, what do you think are some of the proudest accomplishments you've been able to achieve?
So many that I didn't think that were ever going to happen. My first pin selling out, that was one of the coolest feelings for me, was just seeing someone, 100 pins. To some, it may not be a lot. To me, when I first started, the fact that 100 people spent their hard-earned money on a pin that I made was the coolest feeling. And I would say probably the second thing was just being able to attend an event like DesignerCon as a pin maker was a really cool feeling. The first time, they accepted an application, and I was able to fly out to California, be around all these other huge brands that I look up to, and just vend a show like that.
That's so cool. That's like a big league game, big league shows.
That's what it felt like to me.
I can only imagine. Like if I thought like Patches and Pin Expo was like a long day, I can only imagine what a designer con is like.
Yeah, it's long, but it doesn't feel that long because you're just getting to talk to people all day, and it's it actually is pretty short overall feeling.
What do you think are some important things to keep in mind when you're attending a pin show, like vending?
We've had a few issues with like internet, so I would just always have a backup plan for internet. That was one of the biggest things that we felt, but we're still so new to events. I think we've maybe done 7 total events in our time as a pin maker, because Colorado, they don't have too many events out here. So, it's one of those things where a lot of the events we're doing, we're flying to California or elsewhere to vend at. So just making sure that, if you're traveling, making sure that your booth works to travel. We decided to do a lemonade stand for our first ever booth, and we didn't really think about it, but that posed a lot of problems as far as getting that lemonade stand there, because it was 2 giant boxes. And luckily we have a lot of friends that we've made throughout the years who live in California who were able to get the packages for us and bring them to the event for us, and then reship them out for us,
Oh, wow.
at the end of the day. But if we didn't have those people, we would have really been struggling to get our booth to these events. We would have just had to kind of set things out on the table. And then the biggest thing that we learned too is don't overpack. But that's one of the hardest things to gauge out there is overpacking and underpacking, because you don't want to leave money on the table if you didn't bring enough of one pin, but you don't want to be carrying home 500 extra pins that you brought with you. So that's something we still haven't figured out, but we've definitely slimmed down on what we bring to these shows as far as quantities go.
That's cool. That's I still got to pull the trigger. I've been saying this. It's going to be like the 3rd season now that I really want to get out to the West Coast and do that. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that much. And right at the beginning of this call, I was telling you I wanted to like deconstruct my
Yep.
current stand and just make it a lot easier to bring around, because like it would be cool to be in my head like a vagabond from a Jack Kerouac book, and he's just slinging pins in Denver, he's going to Phoenix,
Yep.
and then 2 weeks in California, then he's going to Patches and Pins in Chicago or something like that. And it's just like a suitcase, or just like knowing a couple
That'd be the
people around the
life.
country, ship them the box. Like the logistics are there. It's just a matter of, Eric, pull the trigger, man. What are you waiting for?
Yeah. There's some pin makers I've seen do it. I'll bring up Nerd Pins, because that dude can travel and sell pins like no other. I've seen a setup, and he is closed down before everybody else. He'll just be chilling at the booth at the end of the day, and while everyone else is packing up their giant booth, and 2 seconds later it's fully packed and he's out of there. It's he's got it down to a system, but that guy's doing 2 to 3 events every single weekend. He's killing it as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's the thing, I think, with like pin businesses, or really almost any business. Really, like the more you put yourself out there, the more you're gonna see like
Mm-hmm.
in return. And that dude's like you said, he's been slinging pins since like the beginning of
Yeah.
time. Like since a
Yeah.
pin game strong was probably like a hashtag or something like that. Like
Yep. Probably.
yeah, he's even made his way out to New York a couple times for the Patches and Pins. We linked up at a couple pop-up events that happened at Pintrol when they still had like their store in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of the best out there, not only as far as like slanging pins, but just an all-around good guy.
Yeah.
He's given me a lot of insight and things like that. He'll if you ever have any questions, he's one I would recommend talking to, because he's just so knowledgeable after all these years doing it.
Facts. True. All right, so we reached the last portion of the podcast, which is kind of like a rapid fire, this or that.
All right.
We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna try and end on a high note.
Let's do it.
So, looking by your pins, I feel like I'm gonna know the answer to this first one: soft enamel or hard enamel?
It all depends on the design for me, but lately, when I first started, it was soft enamel, but I've been leaning towards hard enamel a lot lately because of the screen printing and all of that detail you can add that way. But yeah, it really all depends on the design for me.
I had a feeling you were gonna say hard enamel. I think almost all of these are hard enamel. It's just
Yeah, unless
so
you're trying to
nice.
get that like really cartoony look, like that's why I did soft enamel on Tina, is just, it really gives you that cartoon look with the soft enamel, I feel like.
Dyed enamel pins or glow in the dark enamel pins?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I really like glow in the dark, so we'll say glow in the dark on that one.
Sick. Rubber backings or metal butterfly backings?
Rubber all day.
Rubber all day. Make sure you use the rubber. Oh, fun. They're like different colors.
Yep.
I didn't even like pay attention. Oh, some of them are different colors. Some of them are the same color. I like that though.
Yep. Yeah.
Colored rubber backings are fun.
If the factory lets you do it, why not?
Yeah. Sure. Take advantage of that. Are
Yep.
you hashtag pin game strong or hashtag pin game proper?
Usually pin game strong, but we also have our own pin game Steezy.
Oh, pin game Steezy.
Yeah, so we use that one too. That's probably our favorite. That's probably our favorite, even though we're the only one using it. It's our favorite.
Oh, I like that. That one's cool. Okay, cool. I gotta check that one out. I'm gonna invade that one and just add that into my set.
Please do. Get someone else in there.
Are you a pin addict or a pin collector?
Man, I don't feel like there's a difference when it comes to me, but I'm definitely a pin collector at this point. I've got so many boards, it's kind of uncontrollable at this point.
Where's your favorite place to rock a pin?
Usually I'll do like on a hoodie or a jacket.
Okay. On a hoodie. Nice. What's been your favorite pin, if you could like pick like one or two different pins or projects? Any in particular stand out? You got a lot of cool stuff. So this is going to be hard.
This one is probably my favorite just because it was the first really interactive pin we did, and this was the Homer sliding into the bushes pin. And that was that was kind of like when I really started getting interested in like the whole interactive side of pins and not just producing, you know, a single layered pin. Either that one, or I had a lot of fun doing like this Shenazard pin, which I ended up making like 28 different colorways of. And it was just like two of my favorite things back when I was a kid was, you know, the Pokemon and the Dragon Ball Z. So I mixed the two characters. And this one, I don't know if it'll ever release, but we actually decided to make that one into a plushie too. So first look at the Shenazard plushie, just because we wanted to make it.
Pin Pals exclusive, unreleased plushie.
There you go. But I would say those are probably my favorite two pins that I've made.
Hell yeah. That's really cool. That's definitely something to be proud of.
A lot of fun.
Last question. John, what are the little things in life for you?
I think really I kind of said before, it's just creating and learning how to create things. You know, I think that's the thing that kind of keeps me going day to day. And when it's not creating, you know, just trying to be outside and sort of, you know, embracing Colorado for what it is, whether it's, you know, the winter and snowboarding or just getting outside and hiking when it's summer. I think those are kind of like the little things that really bring happiness to me, you know, in a world of craziness.
For real. Like you definitely have a lot to escape to in Colorado. A lot of fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's really cool. Man, time flew by. I can't believe it's been like
really
an hour. Holy cow.
First podcast was a good experience, man. You're really good at the hosting, and I love watching the episodes.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Thank you for being one of the YouTube subscribers. That's awesome. Just the fact that people like are tuning in, let alone like actual pin makers that like, you know, you like admire and think are cool and stuff like that. Like it's pretty cool. Appreciate that. I'm gonna give you the floor.
I'm learning things from them.
Bam. Hey, can I get an amen? I don't know.
Amen.
I'm gonna give you the floor. Gonna give you feel free to give out any shout outs, any thank yous, let the people know where they can find you and what you have coming up.
Oh man, I got nothing coming up anytime soon. You know, we got a few pins released, a few pins to release here probably after Chinese New Year. So we got a little while in between the next drop, but just keep an eye on Instagram. We're just having fun, you know, dropping stuff randomly here and there. We've got a few ideas for other projects coming up, and hopefully we'll just see them to fruition. As far as shout outs, just shout out to the Pin Pals podcast for helping people learn, you know, who want to learn more about the pin industry. You know, it's a great little tool to, you know, give people some insight if they want to start making pins too. Because if you have an idea and you want to make a pin, I say just do it. It's not a crazy investment, you know, and if you really enjoy the design you're putting out there, other people will too.
Mm-hmm. Just like Miguel from BB Create said in his episode, we just kind of opened the door. You know, you guys can come on in. We'll show you like, you know, how to do things, where we get things made and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something, you know, I'm not hiding the golden secret to making pins. You know, everyone else who's doing it has figured it out. And, you know, if people have questions, you know, like I said, hit me on Instagram. If I see your message, we'll chat back and forth. I'll give you any more insights I can. You know, it's all fun to me to help people learn and make things.
And what's your Instagram handle?
It's Steez, STEEZ, McGee, MCGEE.
Boom. And the website, hit the people with the URL.
There we go. It's probably backwards on the screen, but steezmcgee.com. There it is.
Boom, man. I really wish you're going to have to send me a picture of the lemonade stand booth. That sounds awesome.
I will.
Good stuff.
I will.
Well, John, thank you again for your time. This has been a blast. We'll be in touch very soon. But until then, I hope you have a good night. And thanks again for being rad.
Same to you. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Peace.
Peace.